Memorial Day, a time for fun, relaxation, and cherished memories with loved ones. But for some, it's a weekend they'll never forget for all the wrong reasons. Two chilling stories of remote cabins, masked intruders, and eerie voices from the dark. What starts as celebration quickly spirals into terror. Stay with me as we dive into two true Memorial Day horror stories that will make you think twice about your next getaway. Welcome to the darker side of the holiday. Two disturbing true Memorial Day horror stories. Story 1. The Lake House Nightmare Memorial Day weekend was supposed to be a carefree escape. My friends and I, Jamie, Crystal, Rich, Adam, and I, wanted a place where we could party without limits. After searching online, I found the perfect spot. A secluded lakefront house deep in the woods of North Carolina. It was affordable, with no neighbors in sight. The property boasted a massive deck with a hot tub overlooking the lake and a fire pit by the water, ideal for our weekend plans. We loaded Adam's truck with drinks, food, and essentials, then made the 3-hour drive from home. The directions led us down an isolated gravel road that wound through dense trees, opening to a clearing where the house stood. It looked just as charming as the pictures, rustic yet inviting, with a deck that wrapped around the entire property. As soon as we unpacked, the fun began. The beer pong table was set up, music blared from speakers, and the grill sizzled with burgers and hot dogs. The remoteness of the place gave us a sense of freedom. We could be as loud as we wanted. Dusk fell, and we gathered around the fire pit. The crackling flames lit our faces as we laughed and shared stories. But just as we were settling in, an unexpected voice pierced the night. "Turn that damn music down!" Startled, we turned toward the woods. Out of the shadows emerged a middle-aged woman with short, messy hair. She looked rough, her face lined with irritation. She shouted, accusing us of disrespecting her lake and causing a disturbance. "Do you live nearby?" one of the girls asked cautiously. The woman ignored the question, muttering something about out-of-towners, before disappearing back into the woods. The encounter left us uneasy, but we shrugged it off. She was probably just an eccentric local. As the night deepened, we grew rowdy again, our earlier unease drowned in music and alcohol. Hours passed in a blur of laughter and chaos, until a haunting sound silenced us. A voice calling out from the lake. "Help! Someone, please help!" The voice was faint, but unmistakable. We froze, exchanging nervous glances. "Who's out there?" I called, stepping closer to the water's edge. "Help!" the voice cried again, weaker this time. Adrenaline kicked in. A kayak rested near the dock, and Adam and I didn't hesitate. Grabbing paddles, we climbed into the kayak and pushed off, yelling for the person to keep calling out. But something was wrong. The cries seemed to drift further away, no matter how fast we rowed. The vast darkness of the lake swallowed us, the only light coming from the distant glow of the house. Then the voice stopped entirely, leaving us in eerie silence. Suddenly, blood-curdling screams erupted from the house. Female screams filled with terror. The sound chilled us to the bone. We abandoned our search and paddled back as fast as we could. When we reached the shore, the screams had ceased. The house was silent, its door ajar. Inside, our friends were gone. Every room was empty, as if they had vanished into thin air. Panic took over. Adam and I jumped into the truck and drove toward the closest property with lights on. It was a similar secluded house, surrounded by woods. Peeking through the window, we saw the woman from earlier. She stood perfectly still in the dimly lit living room, staring out as if she were expecting us. Her expression was unnerving, cold and almost predatory. We yelled for help, but she didn't move. Instead, she just stood there, watching us. Terrified, we retreated to the truck. Then my phone buzzed. It was Rich. "Where are you? What's happening?" I blurted out. Rich's voice was frantic. He explained that two masked men with axes had emerged from the woods, sending them running. The screams we heard were real. They'd been terrified. Rich told me they were hiding in the woods, waiting for the police. The call cut out before I could say more. Soon after, flashing lights appeared down the road. With the police's help, we found our friends hiding. Shaken but unharmed, we gathered our belongings and left that cursed place. To this day, I don't know what the men, the woman, or the cries from the lake were all about. But one thing is certain. I'll never rent a remote cabin again. Story 2. The Boat That Followed. In 2021, the world was emerging from the grip of the pandemic, and everyone was eager to celebrate. My friends and I, Tony, Mikey, and Jacob, decided to spend Memorial Day weekend on Jacob's dad's luxurious boat. The plan was simple: join a massive bay meetup with other boaters, drink, and enjoy the long weekend. The bay was packed with boats tied together, music booming from every direction. We mingled, hopping between boats, drinks in hand, the hours slipping away in a haze of laughter and alcohol. As the sun dipped below the horizon, most of the other boats departed. Ours was the last one floating. Jacob, the designated driver, had drunk far too much, so we let him sleep it off in the cabin. Hours later, he woke up, groggy but seemingly sober enough to steer us home. As we cruised toward Jacob's canal, we noticed a boat trailing us. At first, we thought nothing of it, assuming it was another late returner. But as we entered the canal, the boat stayed uncomfortably close. Jacob's unease grew. "Who the hell are they?" he muttered. The canal was a no-wake zone, so we had to slow down, allowing the mysterious boat to edge even closer. When we finally reached Jacob's dock, the boat passed us, its occupants glaring at us. 3 men stood on its deck, their expressions cold and menacing. We tied up the boat and went inside, brushing off the encounter. But within minutes, the same boat passed by Jacob's house again. This time, their stare felt heavier, more deliberate. Later that night, I woke up with an unbearable thirst. I stumbled to the kitchen, only to freeze in terror. Standing there was a man in a ski mask, a gun aimed directly at me. "Don't make a sound," he hissed. 2 more masked men appeared, forcing me to lead them upstairs to Jacob's room. They woke him at gunpoint, demanding access to the family safe. Trembling, Jacob complied, calling his dad for the combination. The intruders emptied the safe, taking cash, jewelry, and documents before fleeing. We never heard a car or boat leave. The realization hit us later. They had likely followed us from the bay, marking Jacob's boat as a target. To this day, the memory haunts me. The cold barrel of the gun, the menacing stares, and the knowledge that a single wrong move could have ended everything. These 2 Memorial Day weekends started as celebrations, but turned into unforgettable nightmares. A chilling reminder. Sometimes, fun in isolation comes at a price. 2 weekends meant for joy turned into nightmares no one saw coming. A cry for help in the darkness. Masked intruders stalking their prey. These stories remind us that even in moments of celebration, danger can be lurking just out of sight. So, the next time you're planning a getaway, ask yourself, how well do you really know your surroundings? And remember, the line between a dream weekend and a nightmare is thinner than you think. Stay safe, stay aware, and stay tuned for more stories that keep you up at night. Until next time, stay curious and a little cautious.